Hopefully, this makes sense. Hello. I mean, this iced coffee so old. 9706 was the number. Excuse me. So today we're gonna attempt to get into the Zeugma of it all. And so, as our example, and it's an OJL. OJL stands for Oracle Juice Live, which means I will be consuming alcohol and attempting to do whatever this Zeugma thing is. If that's not your style or your speed, it's fine. Take it as it resonates. If it resonates, if it don't resonate, don't take it. As always. And I'm gonna be finishing my last. Oh, it does say chill. Chill and serve. Turn up the heat with something sweet. Now it is cold enough that it. I don't know if it would qualify as chilled, but I don't think I tried the other one chilled. Would I have liked this even more? Um, yeah. I'm gonna open it up. We're gonna finish this bottle. I'm gonna pour my shot. So, a Zeugma, I will look it up. I will Google it and read you the definition of a Zeugma because I just learned the word myself through synchronicity. Excuse me. But in the example of a Zeugma, like he took his hat and his leave. He took his hat and he took his leave. Took is the Zeugma that refers to like the hat and the leave, right? In that. So Zeugma. How did I end up in the Japanese keyboard? Yuma. Uma? A. Uma? Okay. Zeugma. A Zeugma is a literary and rhetorical. I was going to say rhetorical. A zeugma is a literary and rhetorical device where one governing word, usually a verb or adjective, joins two or more distinct parts of a sentence, applying to each in different senses. It is used to create humor, irony, surprise, or conciseness, often linking concrete and abstract concepts. He took his hat and his leave, took being the zeugma. She broke his car and his heart, broke being the. Well, a Zeugma is a device. The governing word is took. She broke his car and his heart. Broke is the governing word. You held your breath and the door for me. On his fishing trip, he caught 3 trout in a cold. Caught being the governing word. He carried a stroke light and the responsibility for the lives of his men. Carried be the governing word. Commonly used verbs in zeugmas are take, hold, break, catch, run, and fix, as they can often govern both physical objects and the abstract concept simultaneously. So the whole zeugma of it all is kind of sort of, and like it's interesting because that was the intention. I can smell the alcohol. Maybe I should drink it. It's fine. This channel isn't sponsored by anything except for owning up to your own life choices. And if that looks like responsible consumption of alcohol to you, then hey. Or other substances anyway. It's interesting because that was sort of not the intention, but it was on my mind as I went live yesterday. But what came out was different. But by the end of it, it was kind of sort of like forming that bridge, right? So you could say setting up the structure for a word to govern multiple things. Something both concrete and abstract, something both physical and spiritual, material and um, immaterial. right? So I have the SKT Revelations edition because we see cards where we see both man and spirit. Um, and then I'm going to use the. Oh, look! Divine Powers of the Mortal Spirit. There's our magician. It's Divinity and Man, Powers of Spirit in the Vitruvian edition. So I'm using this and the Star Dragon Oracle cards. I'm gonna kind of do it like war, but instead of winning, they're both gonna. And I broke a nail. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I broke two of them. One on my right hand, one on my left hand. Didn't notice when it happened, but it did, and it makes me kind of sad because now I have to cut all of them. I just haven't done it yet. I'm going to use the Astro Matrix Tarot for one side, and then I'm going to use the Gilded Tarot Royale on the other. And I guess I have the Fable Makers Animated Tarot for a challenge. I still haven't found my glasses, so we're rocking with these where you can see my screen. The Moon and the Ace of Cups at the cut. The Star and the Moon. So, and then Temperance and the Star. Interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle all these. These I don't necessarily have to shuffle as much. What I really want to shuffle is the Star Dragons and the Fable Makers, because these I'm going to add the numbers that come out and then pull that number from the top of the deck. And I think I'm going to do the same for the SKT, but I'm going to reduce it, right? So if they add up to 34, then I'll pick the 34th card and then the 7th card, I guess. All right. There's this, there's that, there's all these other things. Now, this, one of the thickest decks I own, and that's a standard deck, but the Knight of Cups is at the bottom of the deck, which is interesting because, again, is this working? I don't know. Why is this? Yeah, okay. I'm sure they shouldn't break, but this Knight of Cups looks really steel. Oh, okay. I can see the hair on the man on the horse, like barely moving. We saw the Knight of Cups, which was the last card, and then the Ace of Cups at the cut. The Knight of Cups was, yeah, you can see the Ace of Cups again. Was the last card before that title card. We're gonna have to break this up and shuffle these. See the Ace of Swords. This is where you actually hold the sword, and the crown is up here. In the SKT, the crown was like down there, close to the hand. So that was like a truth or a knowledge information. Excuse me, pre-high priestess with the Queen of Cups that we can put into play, put into practice, comprehend, understand, use. Right. So I am going to shuffle all these up, I guess, before I take the actual sip. Shuffle these. Shuffle this half, shuffle this half. Actually, I may keep these separate. Oh, yay! Cards are falling on the floor again. I think I'm actually going to keep these separate. Try to even them out because there may be challenges. Temperance fell on the floor. And apparently, oh, you can see the ripples from the foot. It's interesting. So when I was shuffling up the Star Dragons before I went live, at the cut, I saw Tranquility. Well, Tranquility came out and it was Harmonious Inaction. I forget what was at the bottom of the deck. I don't remember. Tranquility came out, Harmonious Inaction. And then Miracle came out, and Time was at the bottom of the deck. I don't remember what was at the bottom when Tranquility came out, but Harmonious Inaction was interesting because it was. All right, that's what we're going to do. This will be for the left side. This will be for the right. And I guess I will timestamp when I actually start pulling. 9 of Cups with the Ace of Cups. The 9 plus the Ace is 10. But instead of this being addition, it's feeling like these 9 cups are being filled by the Ace of Cups overflowing. And this is interesting because the 9 of Cups and the Pixel Tarot, 3D Pixel, whatever tarot, is an Iron Curtain. And this one is the Shimmering Veil. Okay, we'll do 2 more. Again, I don't know how this is going to work, if this is going to work. I'm getting a mixture of like the fruity sense of like the mango rum and then like dinner sort of like wafting in from outside, and they don't necessarily mix. It's this like sweet and savory combination, but it's like a rough sweet and savory combination. Like, oh, the Magician was the final card. Okay. I didn't really know which decks I was going to use today, to be honest. I knew I wanted to use the Star Dragons because they show both the dragon, like the constellation, and the dragon or whatever. And then I knew I wanted to use the SKT again because they show both the person and the spirit behind the person. Now, when it came to the other ones, I was kind of like, I don't know. Then I knew I wanted to use the Fable Makers because it's more centered on the person or people, but you see like the wind. You can see movement, implying an unseen force. Usually they have little squigglies for like moving air. So less unseen or like moving water. But then I came upon these 2. So this is one because I couldn't decide if I wanted to use the Astro Matrix or the Queen of Cups again. The Astro Matrix, or now the thing about right off the bat, again, take it as it resonates. It was just 1444 on the clock. Take it as it resonates. When it resonates, if it doesn't resonate, don't take it. Use your intuition and discernment. Um, because the Queen of Cups is coming out, this is just like this is Patrick's attempt and or best guess at whatever comes out. It's like because the Queen of Cups has like shown herself so much, it's like big emphasis on like the entirety of the High Priestess is unknowable. There are things that we can intuit, there are things that we can divine with the Queen of Cups, but it's like processed through our experience and limited by our ability to discern and or perceive and or whatever. It's not perfect, maybe incomplete. That's it. Right. So just like keep that in mind as we proceed. And I will keep it in mind and just do my best. Okay. I guess they're already on the table. On the right side, I was going to do the right side as like the spiritual side and the left side as the more 3D, but I'm going to do it the other way because of how I look at numbers, right? The tens place is the energetic, the subtle, the motivation, and the ones place is the base, the material, the actualization, right? What we actually see and or can interact with. I guess I'll give these one more shuffle. How am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do tops and bottoms? Yeah, I'll do tops and bottoms. All right, one more. Ooh, the world card just showed its face. I'll put it back because I'm not looking for those right now. And that's done, and I'll give this two more, and then I'll pull three off the top, one off the bottom, six of swords, and the six of cups at the cut. So you see the cups with the flowers in them? Well, you see cups and flowers. I don't know if a cup has flowers in it, but there was some deck we were looking at. The Queen of Cups, the Ivory Shield, have the cup with the flowers in it. And we did see the Memory Keeper. So yeah. I'm pretty sure I called that out. I remember calling it out. Who was that? The Devil? With the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, Capricorn, Capricorn, Cardinal Earth, Capricorn, Major Arcana, Capricorn. Now it's interesting here because on the Six of Cups in the SKT, we saw the lovers as children, basically. And then we actually saw the lovers come out, but we never saw the demon in that deck. We never saw the lovers bound. And here, the lovers aren't bound either. But there's something about the throes of passion and or being caught up in something, which has been, I guess, a warning of late to like remember what we truly desire so that we're not distracted by anything else, right? Remember what we truly desire and what our intentions and our motives and our desired outcome is. And it's been tricky because in one metaphor, it was being clear about the outcome we desire. And then maybe in the same, I think in the same video, it was like, don't be so attached to the outcomes. Yep. All right. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pull the top three. Let me timestamp 1930 or maybe 20 minutes. Pulling. Whoa, should we say Zeugma 1? I don't know how many of these I'm gonna do. Cool. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull three cards off the top of each deck, one card from the bottom. I'm not comparing them this time. So, on the left will be with the Astro Matrix Tarot, the more abstract or spiritual sort of influence on the right, which is the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. It will be the physical material 3D concrete, right? Like in the case of he took his hat and his leaf, where took is the governing word, taking a hat is taking the physical thing, taking his leave is abstract, right? And so I'm going to add the numbers. Pages are 11s, knights are 12s, queens are 13, kings are 14. Is that what we're doing? Or are we just doing like straight tens? You know what? I think I want to do straight tens, but I kind of don't. I do, but I don't, but I do, but I don't, but I do, but I don't, but I won't. I won't do straight tens. So then I'm going to pull. I have the Fable Makers animated tarot split in half. We're gonna get a challenge, right? A challenge on the physical, integrating the physical, a challenge on the spiritual, integrating the spiritual. Then I'm also going to pull the added number. I've already shuffled the Star Dragon Oracle cards, and we're going to pull from the top that, and I'm going to pull from the top of the SKT that, and it simplified, right? So if it's like 37, then I'll pull the 37th card, the 10th card, and then the first after that until we get a single digit number, right? And that's what we're going to do. So, with all that being said, this is an OJL. So, I'm going to imbibe and then describe. It's fine. Ooh, I haven't had this in a while. It is nice. I feel like I'm like salivating now. I feel like my mouth won't stop watering. That's crazy. Cool. All right, let's go for it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. One, two. Should I flip them face up? Nah, it's fine. I will flip this face up though. Oh wow. Okay. We got the star as the card on the spiritual side. What's so interesting about the star here is the star, it feels like a conduit is the word, medium. It feels like an intermediary, like a liaison, like the star pours out for us to sort of like find it, but it then like directs us sort of elsewhere. And then on the other side, one second. I know, millennial me. We have the Page of Wands. Now it's interesting that the Page of Wands is here because we saw the Page of Wands. We saw what sits in the space of the Page of Wands in the Osho's and Tarot, which was playfulness. I'm pretty sure it was playfulness. And then that led us to like the fire ignition, stuff like that. Anyway. You don't get a partner if you ain't got no long route. On this Page of Wands, there are two cardinals. But we know that these are two male cardinals because the female cardinals are brown with the red coloration. Did the person who came up with this? I mean, a lot of times when you see two cardinals, it's shown like this. And it's assumed that, Well, since it's two cardinals, one is a male, one is a female, especially if they're like cuddled up on each other. But cardinals display sexual dimorphism question mark, meaning the males and the females are different, visually different. So we know that these are two males because of their coloration. So we could say that this is primarily on the masculine side of energy. This could also be, it's been coming out lately. You could say like the duality of ego, maybe. It was like when it comes to being the best, right? Like two people have an ego that tells them they are the best. One person sort of manipulates information and outcomes in their favor to make them the best. The other person seeks constant and continuous betterment so that they are more objectively the best. So 17 plus 13 is 30. No, 13. This is 11. 17 plus 11 is 28. So we're going to get the 28th card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. The 20th card is number 11, Invention, Burning with Passion. What I love about this is Page of Wands very passionate. What I'm actually going to do here, instead of adding these and getting the same from both split deck, I want to pull the number of the other. So on the right side, I'm going to pull the 17th because the star came out in the left deck. On the left side, I'm going to pull the 11th because the Page of Wands came out in the right deck. Right? So, and I kind of want to do 17th from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 14. Yeah, 15, 16, 17. Okay, almost got confused. And it's the challenge of the 9 of coins here. Usually there's a snail on the 9 of coins, but this time it's a falcon. What do you call that? I feel like there's a word for raising falcons, and I don't remember what it is. I could ask Google because it's not like falconry. I'm pretty sure it's not falconry. There's like a word for either like raising falcons or hunting with falcons. Hey Google, what's the word for raising falcons for sport?
Falconry. Would you like me to find local clubs or equipment basics for beginners?
Is it really falconry? I feel like there was like a different word. Falconry is the ancient 4,000-year-old practice of training raptors to hunt wild game, demanding a 365-day-a-year commitment rather than a casual hobby. It requires specialized licenses, a 2-year apprenticeship with a sponsor, and significant initial investment for equipment and housing. Costs include fees, gear, and food. A falconer. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's it. A 2-year apprenticeship under a licensed general or master falconer is mandatory in the U.S. That's the apprenticeship. Examination, passing a state or federal exam with a score of at least 80%. Facilities and inspection, building appropriate, inspected, and secure housing, Muse for the Raptor. And then licensing, obtaining federal and state falconry permits. Common birds of prey used, common raptors, peregrine falcons, Harris hawks, and red-tailed hawks. Red-tailed hawks are interesting because I'm pretty sure it's the cry of the red-tailed hawk that we associate with eagles. And I just saw that like yesterday, question mark. Right? Eagle cry.
Cracking the dust off of it and popped her off.
It's fine. It's not. I think it's red-tailed hawks. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I don't have to get lost in it. Yeah. Okay. The challenge of the Nine of Pentacles is going to be one of receiving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 page. The Empress. This is so interesting because Nine of Pentacles is pre-Queen of Coins. Queen of Coins is pre-Empress, so Nine of Pentacles is minor Empress for me. On the side of spirit challenges, the Empress. On the side of the physical challenges, the pre-Empress energy. You could say because of the grain on the Empress, the falconer trains and raises the falcon to hunt. But rather than hunting, the Empress more so cultivates. Oh, goodness. Okay. Which means I have to I mean, it's going to be received. That's a boon. I love that it's a challenge on the side of the physical, and it's a boon on the side of the spiritual. I'm just opening up the guidebook so I can properly read the boons and banes. Should we do that first? I mean, does it matter? Fate altering boon. So the fate altering boon for the Empress, there are two. Either an area of nature that was once destroyed is restored, or the balance between nature and civilization is tipped in nature's favor. What I like about an area of nature that was once destroyed is restored is we've seen like a displacement replaced and correcting what has been misused from the disology recently. Also, the Empress is here. So when I was talking about the whole peacock being an inverse mirror a few lives ago, ICC, was that 8687? It may have been ICC 8687. Like there was a person in my mind who occupies that like inverse mirror. I talked about people that I know, right? Where people make a lot of assumptions about them, but a lot of the assumptions that they make about the person are actually things that they feel insecure about within themselves. Then I get on Instagram and literally the first post I see, that peacock individual has had a baby. And so I was like, oh, that's Empress energy, the Empress energy that has been like floating around. And so now the Empress is like actually out here. So there is a little bit of like star baby energy because it is like the Empress and the star. What's interesting about this is, though, so we have the challenge of falconry or the energy of falconry with the nine of coins, but we have cardinals here. And cardinals aren't the raptors that you would use in falconry. I know cardinals are also associated with ancestors, right? So let's say that in someone's ancestral lineage, for example, low hanging fruit, something like this would be like someone comes from very hardworking people. And maybe, I guess, honestly, regardless of how like financially resourced they were, they're hard workers. And so the challenge here could be in like learning how to receive or learning how to pivot that like dedication of hard work into a different arena, right? Where like hard work doesn't necessarily have to be what we think it is, right? Excuse me. For example, hard work could be like resting well because you know you're most productive when you're well rested, right? Woo! I forgot the kick because it does have a kick. And I have just the thing. Yeah, I got a napkin in my pocket because that shot cup did leave a little bit of moisture, a little bit of moisture, a little bit of moisture. It almost looked like a sea. See, but again, this star. So even if the boon of the Empress is an area of nature that was like devastated or destroyed is revived, it feels like it's revived for a reason or for a purpose. So, for example, there was some tree, and the flower or fruit of this tree was used in a particular tincture, and the medicine is in need. And so, like, nature in this area is restored so that the tree can thrive, so that you get the flowers of the fruit, so that you can make the medicine. Like star is almost this energy of like it's for a higher purpose. So, like for example, whatever someone is receiving, it's either so that they're well taken care of enough to focus on. Again, that kind of sort of brings us to purpose and abundance, where we sort of were yesterday. Or like again, it's like someone is taken care of enough that they don't have to worry about the money when it comes to like philanthropy or something like that, where they can feel comfortable in donating their time, energy, effort, skills, gifts, abilities, and maybe not necessarily being compensated at the same rate that they would from someone else because like that's the work they're doing. And I saw it was a therapist, I'm pretty sure. I saw it was a while ago now. Maybe it was a reel or a short, but there was a therapist who I think she got suggestions from some of her clients, but she asked if they would consent to flexible rates so that the people who could afford to pay more paid more so that the people that couldn't afford to pay as much got a discounted session. And the people who were upcharged like they volunteered to pay her more so that other people could also benefit from her services, right? Because of course she has expenses like anyone else. And that's not necessarily the problem. If there is a problem, let me stay in my lane. That's not my lane. The people, again, there were people who were happy to pay more so that other people could enjoy. and benefit from her services. I think too, there's something about this Nine of Pentacles that feels at capacity, right? So it's not necessarily Patrick and SpongeBob Pretty Patties. So in the Pretty Patty episode of SpongeBob, SpongeBob has this idea to make like colored burgers. And Mr. Krabs was like, that's so dumb. And Squidward was like, that's so stupid. And SpongeBob was discouraged, but him and Patrick sold them anyway. And then they were a hit. And SpongeBob, they ended up getting more money than they know what to do with, right? So he said they tried like burying it and shredding it and burning it. And in the end, they ended up giving the money away. And then people took the money. Some people took the money and got back in line. It's like, it's almost like someone is being challenged with receiving more than they know what to do with. Now, again, the dragon here is one of invention. Now, what's interesting about this dragon is, at least at first glance, it's really hard for me to distinguish like the oracle from the dragon. It looks like there's only one being here, unless it's that thing, which I guess it could be. It probably is. But it's more like a naga type than a person, maybe. But it's almost like it's taking on characteristics of the dragon. More dragon than. Oh, wait. Yeah, more dragon than humanoid. I don't know if I've ever seen this card. I'm sure I have. Number 11, Burning with Passion. The page is also 11. Okay. So then we get, what was this, 30? 11 plus 17, 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because 2 plus 8 is 10. And then 1 plus 0, 1. So we got a 28-10 instead of a 37-10. Bottom of the deck is the initiate. Here. Ob Incunabulus, and then Ob Eterno. So again, the Erudite, Hermit of the Mysteries, the Scarlet Shield, and the Hector, Five of Swords are the 3 cards that came out. What's interesting about these 3 cards is it implies a level of well, I was going to say it implies a level of severity that we don't necessarily see with Invention and Passion, but that's not necessarily true because there's a lot of passionate like crimes of passion. It's literally a whole like category, right? Now we do see the eagle and the snake, which represents chaos finally being defeated by order overcoming chaos. Also the eagle, right? What we associate as an eagle's cry is actually the cry of a red-tailed hawk. I think I saw. I guess I could ask that. Or I could have Googled that. Red-tailed hawk. Eagle and red-tailed hawk. Let's see. Bald eagles and red-tailed hawks are distinct North American raptors. Eagles are significantly larger, blah, blah, blah. Do red-tailed hawks sound like eagles? Red-tailed hawks have a raspy scream that calls out for attention. Often their sound is chosen for eagles. Other hawks are heard in the background of scary movies. Okay, yeah. So wait, is that a people thing? Or is that a nature thing? It's fine. We didn't get lost in it earlier. We're not going to get lost in it now. I feel like birds are featured. There's the bird sitting on the staff of the erudite. There's the eagle eating the snake, the bird eating the snake on the shield of the scarlet shield. And then there's the owl in the Hector. Did you hear that? There was like something in there. Like, oh goodness. So invention, burning passion is the governing word that modifies both the page of wands in the physical and the star in the spiritual. The thing about the erudite with the Queen of Wands energy and the Five of Swords is it's a very like sort of studied approach. For some reason, the erudite is like wise. The erudite is smart. It's more smart than wise, right? Like what may seem like overkill or what may seem as excessive, it's not. What may seem like a crime of passion was actually premeditated. But if we were speaking that language, it would be what seems like a crime of passion is actually premeditated. Oh, I still have face down cards that haven't flipped over. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is almost the energy of like invention being the governing word. This is very like what someone is passionate and focused and bringing. I feel like this came out though. This is like, I feel like the most realistic, sort of lowest hanging fruit sort of example. Because it's very like what someone in the physical within themselves is like very passionate about sort of bringing to the world. Like spirit also, the divine also aligns with that because it's something that benefits humanity or people in some way. But it's almost like for the person, it's like they may get more resources, recognition, attention, interest, buzz than they initially like bargained for. And it feels like there's a certain amount that is very like affirming, but it's almost like if you get too much in excess, it becomes like maybe like pressure or something like that. But they may perceive of as pressure, right? And like falconry is not like you don't just get a bird and become a falconer. Like there's a whole process. It's a commitment. They said it's a 365 day commitment, not a casual hobby. And again, there's something about the star that makes it bigger than just the thing. So, for example, if this is related to some kind of breakthrough in healthcare, be it like pharmaceutical or homeopathic or like natural or whatever, it's very much like someone invents or discovers something that somebody else takes, and like that person goes on to do something like great, but that person wouldn't be like, they wouldn't have the quality of life to do what they will eventually do without the breakthrough that someone is working on. Again, the star is feeling very much so like an intermediary, and it's almost very like almost very like metaphorically low hanging fruit. Let's say that the person who goes on to do something amazing is from like a well off family, right? Because the Empress is here. And so they're like, we would have paid anything and everything so that our child could have as good of a quality of life as possible. So in their gratitude, they come in and they find out who pioneered, discovered, whatever, and they express their gratitude like monetarily, or just like not even monetarily, just like, or like through, they express their gratitude in a way that only they can, that really like overwhelms the person. And it is pretty interesting because I just saw a reel before I went live about how the folks at this one company, like I guess they got bought out, and like the new CEO came in and he was like, the folks didn't want to make money. He was like, it's so weird, like no one wanted to make money, and like it's all like they were all working there for the mission and they were really excited about the mission, and they didn't want to make money off the app because the mission was like free education or whatever. And the folks that worked there really believed in free education. And they're like, if you come in and you start trying to make money or whatever, then like it takes the free out of the free education that like, we're all really passionate about anyway. It's kind of sort of like that, but like the opposite. Or not the opposite, but anyway. Now here, if there is an influence or was an influence that would win out, it's the spiritual influence. So it's like it feels like we saw this in a way when it was um what was that? It's like someone is doing something new, groundbreaking, or disruptive. And so they're going to get a lot of attention, but it's like you can't, it's like it's difficult to come up with something groundbreaking, life changing, or monumental and not get a lot of attention. And that attention comes with all kinds of things, which was more so the emphasis there. But here it's like the amount of recognition or support, or how like they're credited with something that comes like further or later. Now, what motivates this Page of Wands, or what helps the Page of Wands speak the language of invention, is temperance again. We've seen temperance, just like we've seen the Queen of Cups, we've seen temperance. Temperance, the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Cups. So we've seen the Six of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, and the Six of Cups. Six of Cups, Six of Pentacles, temperance. Now you could say that the Six of Pentacles, you could say it's minor justice. You could also say, oh, that's weird. Oh, sorry. I just got like it, like what started as like, when like you get a tickle in your throat type of whatever. It was like a tickle. Oh, there it is again. It's like a tickle in my body that was in like a tickle at the back of my neck. Sorry. See, the light on the staff of this page of wands and the light at the bottom of temperance as it's doing this fire water alchemy. This is very much so the energy of the magician in the tarot apocalypses. Just this whole like Zeugma thing. Like heavenly fire is like water on earth. And so there's like some governing word that corresponds or reacts to both the water on earth and the fire in like spirit in the heavens. And so to see temperance being between fire and water, but then there being this like thing here, which is there, you could say it's very much so like spirit driven, divine led, purpose mission. And with the Six of Pentacles, it feels like the Six of Pentacles like it emphasizes because the Six of Pentacles gives as is needed, right? So it speaks to what feels to an individual to be appropriate. The Six of Cups is like history. So it's almost very like something that someone went through or experienced, maybe in their formative years or a formative time in their life, inspired them to pursue something, right? To pursue something that is more than just a casual hobby, or as they pursue it, it turns into more than just a casual hobby, it's an actual commitment. Now, the thing is, because I also saw in another reel that when it comes to, and this is, I'm sure, a fine line for some folks. Like I saw a reel of somebody on Shark Tank. They had a device for like disabled people in whatever way. And they were selling it for $15,500. It cost them like $1,800 to make. And there is the whole like, well, if it only cost 1,800 to make, why are you selling it for 15,500? And then someone was in the comments like, when it comes to something like this, a lot of times there is extensive like R&D, research and development that's involved. There's a lot of trial and error. There are like investors and backers that maybe they went to. And so although now it only costs them 1,800 to make, you have to sort of account for everything that went into getting the product to like where it is. And so the inflated price covers like all of that time, all of those like commitments, monetary, financial commitments, and stuff like that. And it also covers like, I feel like depending on how you break it down, more often than not, it should go into the price. But like, let's say in raw materials alone, in raw materials and like maybe man hours it's 1,800, but you also have like the facility and you have the lights and you got the entirety of payroll and you have like maybe legal team and like there's a lot of other stuff. The point is it's like this empress almost like compensates for a lot of that. It feels like the empress is compensating not only for everything that went into getting someone where they are, but also it helps in like carrying them forward. And so it's almost like what the physical page of wands inventor, what the inventor may sort of view as like too much, being overly compensated for something. It's like, to keep that in mind. Now, on the side of the star, we have the Hermit, the Ace of Swords, and the Four of Cups. Love that Hermit where we see the erudite. But again, like the Hermit is here positioned with a warm house, with a shelter and a fire in the middle of the cold and goes out looking for those who need shelter, right? So again, it's reads like or confirms that it is for like those in need. We have the Ace of Swords and the Four of Cups. And it feels like the Ace of Swords and the Four of Cups is about like outreach question mark, where it's almost very like even if you come up with the perfect solution, if no one knows that it's there, that you're there, then no one will like buy it or whatever. And so what may look like a poor market fit or something that's undesirable, it's just like you haven't found your audience yet. And part of this Empress energy is to help you like find your audience or to get the thing to where it needs to go. Right. And again, because the crown is so far from because the crown is not only because the crown is so far from where you actually hold the sword, but also because of this Four of Cups energy. It just reads as very like we may not know the scope, but the divine does. And so it's almost like it's not that it's like don't question it, but and again, like I love that it's inspiration because inspiration feels like something that speaks to both so easily, speaks to both the physical and the spiritual, right? For someone who is very like humanitarian in their work, of course, like the divine or the energy of love would want them to like thrive and want them to reach as many people as possible. I think that's it. I think that's all the cards. I am going to read number 11, Invention. Oh, look, there's number 12. 12, 13, 11. I am going to do my best with these classes. Number 11, Invention, burning with passion. This is, oh, Centaurus. Alpha Centauri is the star. This is the Centaur constellation. So Sagittarius, question mark? Sagittarius being science for me. Wisdom of the Herald. Feel the fire of passion and vital energy arise from your core. Time to take action. Time to burn with vitality. Allow your passions to rise to the surface as you prepare to embark on a new endeavor fueled by the deepest core of your being. Let it burn bright and strong, just like the star. Wisdom of the dragon. From your very core, invention pours out of you, racing to fill the dark night sky with light and energy untold. Create, be fulfilled. Masterfully craft your vision as you bring something new to life. There is no room for shyness or hesitancy. Master your craftsmanship and harness your creative brilliance. The time is now. So yeah, it's almost like it's again, it's like a stage that you can't help but be on. Cool. I feel like this was I felt like very lofty, and trying to sit down and doing this. And again, yeah, take it as a resonates if it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. It feels like two. It's almost like don't be afraid to be an authority when it comes to this topic, especially if this is something that like you're bringing to the world. And what that means is it reads like there is alignment between your passion and divine intention, right? And so, in that energy of like, don't be afraid to be an authority, it's like, for example, if you, again, it's easy when it's like medical, it's low hanging fruit. If your whole thing is to make something that people can actually afford to improve their lives, then it's like, yes, you have to recoup the costs of like investors and research and development and like all of the time and energy that you've spent to get where you are. But again, sort of like the flex pricing with that therapist, it's like, don't be afraid to stick to your guns and like continue to make sure that it's affordable, or continue to make sure that the people that actually need it can get it. Don't be sort of convinced to just like sort of like fall into some of the traps that we see when it comes to like big pharma, right? Well, if people want to live or survive, then they have no choice but to pay whatever exorbitant price. Because again, I'm looking at, and that's because of the Queen of Swords and the Five of Swords, the Scarlet Shield and that Five of Swords that came after the Hermit, where we see this Ace of Swords and the Four of Cups with this Hermit. So it's like, instead of the cup, what this Four of Cups is actually offering is the Ace of Swords. Don't be afraid to take that sword. Cool. Where do I set these? I'm going to do one more. Uno más. How do I say I am going to do one more? I don't know. My brain just shut down. Shut down. Should I? Sure. Why not? Zeugma 1, Invention. And also, too, it's very much so like, so there are certain breakthroughs in science, technology, understanding that happened like all over the world at similar times. And it's very much so that theory of like certain ideas are sort of like floating the collective, and different people are sort of like tapping into that or receiving information about it, right? And so it's like it's floating the collective for a reason, for a purpose. And the reason and purpose that it's floating the collective for aligns with someone's ambition. And that's what sort of lubricates that channel, and it makes it easier for them to like receive whatever. Right? Zeugma 2 10830 question mark. This is your reminder that timestamps on this channel are approximations. But hey, it's 10830 now, so that's not too bad. Let's do this one more time. So 1, 2, 3, and 1 from the bottom. Devil energy, which is Capricorn. Interesting. Where are we going now? I love that it's like majors on this side, though. I'm really focused on the bones here. The bones here give almost like the cardinals in that Page of Wands gave an ancestral energy. These living feel like descendants of whoever the bones belong to. And it's like they haven't fully grown into those chains yet. So they could like still slip them. But oddly, question mark. those chains were forged for someone else. So it's almost like some kind of inherited bondage that someone like you don't have to. It's very like there was an anime that I was watching. There's an anime that I was watching, and I've seen plenty of animes where children inherit the debts of their parents, right? Not making any kind of judgment or statement about anything in this particular anime, which was set in a fantasy. It's an isekai, so it was set in this other world, fantasy world. There was a child that was forced to work to pay off a debt from her father. And it's like she wasn't working enough in the thing she was passionate about, which was singing. And so the debtors, question mark, I'm pretty sure that's the word, they were like, there are easier girl, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. And someone reminded them that it's illegal. It's illegal to put the debt of a parent onto a child. She did not owe them anything. I don't know if she knew that legally. I don't know if it really mattered because they were intimidating. And, she, right. But it does bring, it's like someone inherited a debt that like legally they do not have to pay. The debt is not legally theirs. As intimidating or convincing as someone can be, legally that they don't have to take that on. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be inherited from a parent. For example, like if there's some kind of, if someone, it's like, just in general, there's something that maybe has been put on someone that they don't have to take on. For example, if they work closely, live closely, whatever, with someone who like projects on them to the point where they start to think that like maybe something is wrong with them or they have to submit to that projection or whatever, it's like that's not yours to take on. That's someone else's baggage. And just because they treat you a certain type of way or just because they try to put something on you does not mean it's yours. You don't have to take that. And again, here it's like something that maybe someone is growing into. So, and it's like, right now the chains are loose, but as they grow, they'll get tighter because they're going to like grow into it. And it's like you can slip the chains before it gets to that point. Even if you're at that point, you can always cut them because, again, you are not bound to whatever this is. You don't have to inherit, be it inherit from proximity or inherit through any other kind of means. Now, you could say there still exists a burden of not living up to whatever that was, right? So it's one thing, like we can easily say that, like, this is a pattern, like this is ancestral, it's not mine, I don't claim this, I don't claim that. But if you have a pattern of behavior that like sort of fits the mold or fits the description, then like you've taken it on and it's yours. Just because you say that it's not doesn't mean that you're not doing whatever, because it's like, anyway, this didn't necessarily, it's just be mindful that more so than just like claiming or more so than just knowing something isn't ours, it's actually like living the truth of that, right? Which can be difficult. Now, interestingly enough, on the other side of things, shout out to bare chested women, apparently, because on the other side is the moon. And here, instead of a dog and a wolf, we see a lady who kind of looks like the star, honestly. How she's pouring the water into sort of like the pond. But this moon is there's like, this is a star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there's the star on her crown, which is 9. You see these celestial bodies in the sky. What I love about this moon, this is the star. It is the star. Moon. It's literally, see, when I first pulled it, I read it was the star, and I was like, oh, that's interesting because the star was just on the other side. But for some reason, after I went into all that, I'm like, the moon. And maybe the difference between that is a star is luminous and the moon is reflective. Like stars generate their own light. The moon reflects the sun's light. And a lot of times the moon may look brighter than some stars because it's closer. But just like our sun is a star, so too are those stars sort of in the sky at night. So that makes sense that it's a star. I was like, it has star energy. Look at it. And those are stars? Is that a blue jay? So first we saw cardinals, now we see a blue jay. Which is interesting because blue jays actually have cries that sound more like falcons or hawks. Unlike the eagle, who we dub a hawk's cry in for because it sounds more powerful. So we have 17 and 15, which is 32. Right? So I'm going to give these a shuffle. I'll give it 2 shuffles a cut, and then I'll pull the 32nd. Ooh. I meant to like do all the shuffling before I started this one, but I forgot. So here we go. 2 of those, 2 of these, and a cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2. 32 cards. And it is dominance, believing in yourself. I love this believing in yourself. It takes control back from this devil energy. I love this combination. It is so easy to fall. Healing, restoring hope at the bottom of the deck. Love that. 218 is when Pisces season starts. It's also the first full day of Year of the Fire Horse, the day after the new moon Aquarius, right? Dominance and healing. Literally love that energy. The shadow of dominance can read like devil energy when it seeks to encroach upon the free will of others. But within the self, this is about like being I want to say self-determined, but not determined in a way that's like focused and driven and stuff like that. Not determination, kind of determined, self-determined, like self-defined. Like, we determined that the blah 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 whatever through use of this formula and these calculations and according to these logistics and stuff like that, we have determined the cause of whatever was whatever to be self-determined. right? So over here, we get number 15 from the bottom. One, wait, we'll do it from the top this time. I did it from the bottom the first time. I'll do it from the top this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. One. I couldn't tell if that was one or two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Which is the Six of Swords. So on theme, Six of Swords, Six of Pentacles, Six of Wands. As the challenge over here. And then 17 from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It's the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords with devil energy, with the thing being dominance. The challenge of the swords in the Fable Maker's animated tarot is to connect one thing to another in a stepwise fashion. Right. So it's how it reads. I'll find it as example. As an example, we'll look at the Six of Swords. Right. So for the Six of Swords, the challenge would be to connect the word cards to the word moves, changing only one letter at a time. So the suggested sort of path they have is to go from cards to cares, changing the D to an E, from cares to cores, changing the A to an O, from cores to codes, changing the R to a D, from codes to modes, changing the C to an M, and then modes to moves, changing the D to an E, a V, sorry. So it's this stepwise series of transformations to get somewhere. Now, again, it's not necessarily more difficult because it is in terms of the number of steps that are taken according to like the laid out paths they have here. But they're all like 5-letter words. So it's not more letters. It's not necessarily more um difficult, right? It's not like, oh, this is a word that you have to have a Webster's to even know. Right. For like the Nine of Swords is from tower to falls. The Six of Swords is from cards to moves. So immediately it's like a move or a step in the physical is different than a move or a step in like the spiritual energetic. Different in terms of like the scale, right? So you could say, for example, a human step is 12 feet, a foot, right? But like a spirit step is, what's beyond a mile? A mile, yeah, yeah. A physical step is a foot, and a spirit step is a mile. So it's like that's kind of the difference in scale, but it's like the absolute difference is the same because it's still like it's not a great example. It's like what's done in 6 steps physically is roughly equivalent to what's done in 9 spiritually. So you could say, is that every it's 2 for 3. Every 2 steps physically is 3 steps spiritually. Because then at 3 you'll have 2, at 6 you'll have 4, and then at 9 you'll have 6. And so that is kind of, is that not like a left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left. And by that last left, you'll have 9 on the left, 6 on the right. Don't get lost in the metaphor, Patrick. The whole point is, it's like this, you could say that the scale is different, but it's like they get to the same place at the same time, right? Like if they're walking side by side, they're going to get to the same place at the same time. One got there in 9 steps, the other one got there in 6 steps, but they both arrived sort of at the same time, type energy. Or like sort of in their own time. Anyway. What is interesting though is it's almost like there's a delay, question mark, which makes sense because the governing word is dominance. Because the governing word is dominance, it makes sense that you take more steps in the spirit than you do in the physical, right? Because we can form new habits. Sorry. I said that weird because it's what's I feel like the lowest hanging fruit could be kind of triggering. Um it's like we could change our habits, we can change our environment, we can change the way we dress, and we can change the way we speak, but like the internal could still be the same. Again, going back to that energy of like you can take the person out of wherever, but you can't take wherever out of the person. Right? There are some things, some changes that we make that like we may continue to like have to choose to honor for however long, or like every now and then. Some days maybe it's easier, some days it's more difficult, right? So it's like that's why it takes fewer steps in the physical, because it's like more superficial things that we can kind of change. But on the spiritual, energetic, there's more steps because that's more like the internal isn't necessarily as easily sort of shifted, or like the physical component is a piece of what is involved in the internal change, right? Because physically, you could say all you have to do is like stop doing this and start doing that, for example. But internally, just because you stop doing one thing and start doing another thing, it's like it has to, those new habits are forming and those new beliefs are forming and stuff like that. Like that continues in conjunction with the physical changes, but also kind of sort of like beyond, right? Cool. So this is 32. 17 plus 15, which means I need to give this deck a shuffle. And two, it's almost like, one second. It's almost like, so in the case of the devil card, like we slip the shackles, we break out of the chains, but it's like we have to form or find a new sense of identity. after we find out, like, for example, right? All my life, everybody told me I was whatever. Now I know that I'm not what everyone always told me I am, but like, who am I? Because all I've ever had is this like mistaken identity. And so there's more steps to like figure out like who you are versus like what you've always been convinced that you are. Right? Sure. So 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 5. 1, 2, 3. I was supposed to do 32. 3, 2, 1. 34, 33, 32. Oh, this is a good one. 1, 2, 3. Right? Because 33, 34, 35. So 33, 1. 34, 2. 35, 3, 4, 5. Goodness. Interesting. Bottom of the deck is the Magus. Divine powers of the mortal spirit. I feel like that divine powers of the mortal spirit, like, takes this to a whole other level. Healing in time. Healing time. Time heals all wounds, is what they say. Time only heals wounds that are dressed and addressed properly. If not, then the wound just festers and the infection spreads and decay reigns. Right. So for some reason, I skipped the 32 I was supposed to do and was going for 35. But then after, like, when I was going 35, 8, I was like, wait, 8 cards is way too much. So then I had to count back to 32 and then forward to 5. So we get an extra card. Now the extra card doesn't necessarily not fit the cards that we were supposed to get. The 35th card was the joyous one, which is the 10 of cups, which we usually see as like the family, right? The masculine, the feminine, and the 2 children. The 32nd card is the lovers, and then the 5th card after that is the priestess. So it's like this is their union and some spirit witness that is observing. Because there's no angel in this rendition of the lovers. Also, what I love about the lovers being the 32nd card is this is the masculine and the feminine freed of that devil energy and influence. Here they're free. We have mystery of the covenant in the sanctuary of Isis. What's interesting, and we saw Hermit of the Mysteries was the erudite. Mystery of the covenant with this high priestess energy here. She knows what the like so she knows the answer to this mystery. Whatever this mystery is, she is very much so into with, the whatever, girl. I'm trying. What's interesting is so the lovers as an energy, it's almost like it's Capricorn went out of balance, but Gemini went in balance. This is Moon in Gemini. Moon in Gemini square Mars and Pisces. Or technically Mars and Pisces square. See, but we weren't supposed to see that. because I messed that. And it's interesting because it's like mysteries of the covenant, but the Ten of Cups is like usually when they're together and like they have kids and everything, right? It's almost like the um in the story, right? They live happily ever after. And so like their actual life is a mystery. But in the Ten of Cups, you get to see like what at least a part of their happily ever after looks like. Partially the mystery revealed. Anyway. I feel like I was gonna say something here, but I forgot. This is a kind of soup. Solway at Coagula is on the bow in this lover's card. Solway at Coagula is one side. Mutatis mutandis is the other side. Hey, it focused. So Solway at Coagula is to, I'm not going to look it up from my recollection. It's to like dissolve and then come back together. Like Solway dissolve, at Coagula coagulate. And then on the other side, Mutatis mutandis, it's almost like, again, from my up here, because I'm not going to look it up, it's to change and be changed. And what's interesting is it's very much so in that Solway at Coagula. You could say that I was saying like I said you could say, and then in my brain it was Ariana Grande who was like, "Who could say that I've been changed for the better, but because I knew you, I have been changed for good." um, it's almost like someone's truth was warped by a piece in part of someone's truth was warped by the way that they were treated. It's almost like maybe a part or piece is true, but it's not like what people made it seem type of energy. And I feel like it's kind of difficult to give like a very far-fetched example is like with the like I want to say it's like the ugly duckling, but it's like it's true that the ugly duckling was a very ugly duckling because it wasn't a duckling, it was a goose. But it's almost like although it wasn't a duckling, or maybe it's just that, right? Like it's true that the ugly duckling was a very ugly duckling, but the ugly duckling was an ugly duckling because it was actually a goose or a swan. It was a swan. And it was a very beautiful swan, but a very beautiful swan is a very ugly duckling because ducks aren't supposed to look like that. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of sort of like that, where it's like it's not incorrect that the ugly duckling didn't fit in because again it's not a duck, it was a swan. And like they're both birds and they're both like aquatic, semi-aquatic birds. You can find them both at a pond. And I say that because on this star card, there's this like necklace of light. I'm not going to get demonetized because this channel isn't monetized. But it's like it's very similar to the chains that she wore under that devil energy. See, here it's like light, but there it's the chains. And it's like she's looking at the chains and the mirror is sort of like focused on the chains. So there it's reading like there is some kind of truth in that, or there's something, I don't want to use the word redeemable, or it's like that chain, like that specific part of the chain reveals a deeper truth. Like again, you can see it, but it's hard to describe. And then like her third eye is lit up when she does like see and recognize and realize that truth. And the high priestess is also here. The priestess. Energy to come out as a governing word. It is, but it isn't. Because with that star energy, because it gets to know the truth, there's a difference between. Oh, I'm like, where did I put the star? There's a difference. It's almost very much so that energy. Was it like the King of Wands and something else? Was it the King of Wands and the Emperor? Like, when it comes to the energy of dominance, with dominance being the governing word, there's a difference between, it's like speaking a word in the knowing of the truth of who you are and speaking a word because you feel entitled. Or because you've been convinced, because your mom and your dad told you that you're great and you're perfect and you're never wrong and whatever. Or people who were close to you tell you that you're great and you're perfect and you're never wrong or whatever. And then it's like, how could this happen to me? My parents wouldn't lie to me and they told me that I was better than you. I'm watching an anime. Anyway. Because it does. Yeah. I haven't revealed these face down cards yet, but before I do that, we're going to read Dominance from the book. So, dominance, believing in yourself. This is the Andromeda constellation with Alpha Andromedae, or Alpha Andromedae being the star within that constellation. Oh, snap. Hold up. Okay, let's read. Visually interesting. So, wisdom of the herald shall shed off doubt as you sit perched upon a throne of strength and know your place with a sly smirk. You have things covered, and you are the captain of your own ship. I love this. Like, sit perched upon a throne of strength and know your place. Because usually, I feel like when I've heard the sentiment, know your place, sort of like said or expressed to someone, it's like someone who thinks that they're better or superior to someone else who's like, know your place, like you are beneath me. How dare you speak in my presence or blah, 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 whatever. And this is like, know your place, and your place is up on that throne. Beneath who? Hello? Sorry. Sorry. I feel like I just had like a flash. You know how sometimes when you're like stir frying or whatever, and then the fire just goes for a second? Yeah. Know your place, and your place is perched up on that throne. Love that energy. Where your place is, like, this is not your place. This is your place type energy. And when you know your place, devil energy could never, and can never. So, wisdom of the dragon. In any given moment, fire can rain down from your powerful jaws as you let the world hear your roar. Roar. Seize and lay siege to entire kingdoms with a single swipe of your claws. Dominate every given situation. You are a mighty and powerful dragon. Now roar. So for the mighty and powerful dragons, for those whose rightful place is seated on the throne of strength, know your place. And for those who would sit upon the throne and maybe get munched on by the dragon, I guess we ain't even got to go there. We don't even have to go there. If you don't know your place, you'll find out. And it's interesting because Stankness, I went looking for Stankness in the raw runes because the energy of Stankness came out. And it came out with Hempereld, which is the test passed. Stankness is scent tested. This is someone that smells of dragon. That lady, she got dragon blood in her DNA. Now, what's interesting about this card is that, so I see this giant lady giving spirit divine vibes and energy, and I see like the building specifically like this, right? And so I see like the claw in the background and this like building here. But behind the building there is the chain, and the chain is from like this devil energy, right? So this is the part of the chain that is somewhat resonant with this star energy. But the rest of that chain, that's not her. And so in her knowing her place, it's like she breaks that chain where it need be broken. And it is kind of interesting that this time, even here, and with the priestess, this time we see a lot more of the like feminine energy. Whereas with the two cardinals and the page of wands, it was more of like the masculine energy. It's also interesting that dominance is coming out on the feminine side and invention came out on the masculine side. 6/2 is June 2nd, which is also Gemini season, or it's in Gemini season. We got this moon and Gemini energy. Again, like it's interesting because there's the Mars and Pisces square, the moon and Gemini, but we weren't technically supposed to see that square. But because of the mutatis mutandis, like to change and be changed, it like we see change twice or mutable twice. Sorry. um Yeah, oh girl, they said, yeah, it's time. Know your place. It's time to break that chain. But yeah, cool. So this would actually be a tie between the physical and spiritual, which I kind of sort of like that because again, it was the energy of like these 6 steps are being taken simultaneously as those like 9 steps are being taken. And maybe it's like a left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left. So you get 9 lefts and 6 rights. Because all majors, I weigh them the same. The star doesn't win because it's number 7. The star doesn't win because it's number 17. I started to say 16, but then like 17, and that beats the 15. They're all majors, so they all hold the same space. So, and again, like there's, I feel like this is also like in the quantum U and all of that, like the cards that came out in the Whispers of Lord Ganesha, again, it's sort of like repeating that sentiment to like know yourself fully. And if we were to completely slip the chains, there's something that would be lost. Because again, something here, it's like in completely slipping the chains, there's some truth of ourselves that we could forsake because of what like other people told us or whatever. Right. So for example, with the ugly duckling could go like, oh, like I'm not a duck, I'm a cow. It's the first animal that came to mind, right? Like it goes so far against being a duck that it like exits the whole avian species lineage. And it's like it's still a bird and it's still like a semi-aquatic bird. And so to go too far would be to sort of like lose a piece that is actually true. Anyway, what backs this energy is the Two of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, and Death. The Two of Swords is my minor High Priestess card. And the High Priestess is out, of course. Two of Swords is minor High Priestess. The Four of Pentacles is giving a very Pandoran energy. Like there were many things that were unleashed from Pandora's box, but hope remained. And then this Death card, maybe that's the energy of that decay, right? If a wound is infected, then time is not going to heal it. The infection will just spread and get worse. And again, it's almost like, we live lives and we go through things. It's like if someone's been through something that's so like painful that there is a part or piece of themselves that they lose. It's like the longer they spend away from it, it feels like it creates a wound. Like that void creates a wound that festers. And the thing about dominance is it can be very difficult to inflate or to like do too much. You know what I mean? Like, let's say that someone is, again, in the case of the not undercover boss that came up yesterday, let's say someone is a manager. It's not just some random employee, it's a manager that, like, the CEO walks into a store, they get the worst service of their lives, and the manager is the one that's perpetrating or the one that's giving the bad service. And then the CEO is like, I want to speak to the manager. And the manager is like, I am the manager. And then the CEO is like, I want to speak to the owner. And he's like, I'm the owner too, and blah, blah, blah. And then the CEO is like, okay, well, I'm the CEO. And we're revoking your franchise license because you may be the owner of this establishment, but you're operating under my name. And I don't want this behavior associated with me. So if you want to rebrand under another franchise, feel free, but you will no longer be representing me. Um, why is that? How do we get there? Oh yeah, because dominance of because it felt like with this, as the wound festers, even if something is true, that's when it turns into just something that's like way too much. Like someone oversteps. With the star being here, maybe like part of the chain is starting to glow and the third eye is starting to shine. And they are like releasing what isn't them, releasing what doesn't serve, releasing like more of the hurt and the pain, but then also like nourishing themselves as well. It's like what is returned to the water is released, and what is poured out onto the land nourishes the land. And so they're finding the hope that remained in the box. And then maybe they like release the hope and then keep the other things in the box. Right. So now hope is out in the world and all the rest of that mess is back in the box. Back in the box like Jack in the Box. No crank. Do 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 do. Don't even touch it. Because we're not going through that again. On the side of the devil is the Knight of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. It's interesting we see the Queen of Swords here because we saw the Scarlet Shield last time. Queen of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles. In a very like God gives his toughest challenges to his strongest warriors almost type of way. It's like there's something to be learned or gained by diligently working through something. Queen of Swords is pre-justice. Knight of Swords reads as a little hasty. Could be potentially hasty. Right. Like the Eight of Pentacles. We've actually seen the Journeyman recently. The Eight of Pentacles, again, is like diligently working on something. But with the Knight of Swords, it's almost like, don't make sure you finish whatever, listen to the whole story. Don't start listening and then like jump to, it's not necessarily jumping to conclusions, but kind of like don't listen to part of the story and jump to the conclusion. Like before you react or respond, I need you to listen all the way. Keep your listening ears on because there's going to be a part where you may feel the impulse to take some kind of impulsive action. Just keep listening and wait until I finish. Because by the end of it, you may feel a little different than if you stop listening at the part that inspires some kind of impulse. And again, you could say metaphorically, that's like, right, so someone, the ugly duckling goes through its life and for, however long, blah, 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 whatever. One day someone goes to the ugly duckling and they're like, hey, like, I'm going to tell you something that may be a little bit hard to receive because of what you thought your whole life. But like, and I want you to listen because that's part of this. I want you to listen to all of what I have to say before you do whatever, right? And the person's like, the reason why you're an ugly duckling is because you're not a duckling. And then they're like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew I wasn't a duckling and blah, 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 blah. Like, I know I'm not ugly. I'm gorgeous. Like, have you seen me? The standards around here are effed all the way up. I'm a cow. And it's like, whoa, hold up. Like, you're still a bird. You're just not a duckling. Type of, again, because we already went, for some reason, it's like a cow. And it's like, it's just to be so far opposite to like do this whole 180 when in reality maybe you only need to adjust like 20 degrees or 15 degrees or 30 degrees, right? You ain't gotta go from this to this. You could just go like from this to that, and now you're going this way rather than making a 180 and then going in the opposite direction. It feels though like the Queen of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles, it's almost like there is some kind of triumph in the challenge. And it is like very like, sometimes you have to have bad days to appreciate the good days, or you have to experience sub-zero temperatures to appreciate the warmth in the summer. And it is a very sort of fine line or a very, very delicate balance to play out because of how deeply and severely it can impact and affect us. And again, we kind of see that with the Four of Pentacles and the Death card. Cool. I think that's it. Dominance is the second governing word. And again, it's interesting that dominance is coming out with so much feminine energy. Because if I feel like invention, what's interesting? I feel like it's so easy to associate invention with masculine energy. But then, like, there are the Mary Shelleys and the Marie Curies and like all of the brilliant women who have been there since the very beginning who never got credit or who were a footnote, who had so much more than a footnote contribution, but some dude came in and took credit and they were reduced to a footnote. At least give them proper, like, Watson and Crick and whoever the lady was. But dominance, okay, that's fine. Did somebody say Lilith? Did somebody say femme fatale? Know your place, queen. Imagine devil energy saying know your place and then someone being like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, how could I forget and just like slip off the chains? Like, these aren't mine. And devil energy's like, what? It's like, yeah. Anyway, cool. So, dominance as a Zeugma. So we saw the how I actually wanted to like I wanted to read like the Zeugma of it and then what is born from the Zeugma of it. That is what like the Spirit Keeper's Tarot was supposed to be. So from this dominance of like someone owning the truth of who they are, good and bad, light and dark, comes the Ten of Cups, the Lovers, and the High Priestess. But again, with this Ten of Cups energy, this is why I picked this deck because we get to see these energies as well as these energies down here. And look, there's the Ace of Cups down here. Interesting. It's like the same with this dominance sort of, yeah. And it does give the energy of like sacred vows. And not the lovers is there, so sure. But it gives an energy of sacred vows in terms of like vows that someone makes that the divine also like witnesses or bears witness to, right? That they like honor. Because that kind of came up what yesterday? That whole energy of like, we're like, oh, I will like God, I promise that if you give me the winning lottery ticket, I'll go to church every Sunday. And it's like, okay, but like, do we actually? So she's giving Spirit Troth in the Lafruma. Am I gonna look for it? Maybe. And it's because it's like when I see the energy of Spirit Troth, like a promise to Odin doesn't mean anything. It's going to be to Odin's benefit. And it's almost like one of those, like, there are going to be so many loopholes and so many other things that it will never work out for your benefit. And even if you honor the agreement, the contract, the vow, whatever, somehow it will still be voided and it's still going to work out in Odin's favor. Kind of like an empty promise that's more so binding for the other individual. Anyway, but with the energy of a sacred vow, and it's like if you make a sacred vow, then your word has to mean something. Maybe because someone operates in so much integrity, their vow actually means something. For example, because someone went through the whole process of liberating themselves from devil energy, now when they stand in the energy of dominance, it means something because they've dominated devil energy. Right. So theoretically, it's someone that the divine can trust to do what they say they're going to do. Theoretically. I don't know why I said theoretically. Well, I said theoretically because I was going to use like a metaphor or whatever. Someone's proven themselves trustworthy to the divine, in whatever way that looks like, which gives them, but again, it's like it's very easy to take the energy of dominance and to use it in a way that is not okay in whatever way. And then it's like you lose your credibility with the divine, and the divine is like, okay, well, but yeah, if you have faith the size of the grain of a mustard seed and you tell a mountain to move, the mountain will move type energy. That's what this dominance is. You say move and it moves. But like it feels like that Zeugma is like I feel like the first Zeugma was one like with Invention. It was one of like more so collaboration or a like I want to say preliminary, but preliminary isn't necessarily the it's not the wrong word, but it's not necessarily the right word either. It's like, when you first get aligned, you're going to get inspired to do things that you want to do that the divine wants done and blah, 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 whatever. This Zeugma of dominance, it feels like what someone may call like an ascended master or whatever, where you tell something to move and it moves. And again, it's not an inflated sense of ego type dominance, and it's not a misplaced. It's not like someone else told me that I am the descendant of this royal bloodline, and so now I'm gonna Phaeton. It's not Phaeton. The Phaeton Eridanus Akamar versus Akranar energy. Phaeton said just because he was the son of Apollo, it was his birthright that he draw the chariot of the sun. And while true, he was the son of Apollo, he did not have the strength to drive that chariot. Drove the sun way too close to the earth and it burned up crispy. Drove the sun way too far and it got real cold and Zeus had to strike him down. Zeus was like, I don't know whose idea this was, but just because you're the son of Apollo does not give you the right to draw this chariot. So again, dominance is a very sort of double-edged sword because sometimes if in the energy of dominance, you have to hold up your end of the bargain, right? For example, if you call somebody out, not calling somebody out, less that if you have some kind of truth that you want to communicate, be prepared to back up that truth and substantiate your claims and provide evidence and all of this other stuff. Like just because you say something doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. And at the very least, for gosh darn sure, like have the chains not around your neck. Because if the chain is still around your neck and you try to call dominance, all devil energy has to do with pull and you'll choke. You know what I mean? Sorry. I felt like I just felt that flash in the pan again for a second. It was just like, yeah, let me breathe, girl. Oof, a little too hot. Yeah, just like, you know. All right, I'm gonna get final cards. That was it. But yeah, that it feels like Invention, almost said inspiration. It felt like Invention is very like dip a toe, and it came out as the star. And yeah, we saw the star with the foot sort of making ripples in the pond. But dominance is like on the throne. So the Zeugma of Invention is like in the palace approaching the throne. The Zeugma of dominance is firmly seated in that throne. It's like, know your place and roar. And it's like things shaking, chains breaking. It's like, oh snap, a real one just walked into the building. I repeat, a real one just walked into the building. Yeah, and apparently they haven't come alone. And it's like, oof. Yeah, so I don't know, just be real careful when Because again, it's not. It could be. You never know who you interact. Again, we could be the manager, we could be the owner of the establishment, and we think we're hot stuff, and what we say goes. But there's always someone above. To be the owner and manager of a franchise, like no tea, no shade to anyone that owns their own store within a franchise, but it's like you're using someone else's name. You're using someone else's reputation, right? If you're Marvin of McDonald's, like, but you're not even like this ain't Marvin's, it's McDonald's, right? If you were so big and bad, Marvin, you'd be running a Marvin's. And again, no tea, no shade to owners of the franchises. But when it comes to dominance, this energy in particular, especially, yeah, no tea, no shade. It's not, I mean, there are challenges either way. And you could say, in some ways, it may be even more difficult to be an owner under a franchise because of, oh, the Nine of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. We saw the Nine of Cups in the other deck in the Fable Makers Animated Tarot. Did we not? We did. Cool. Six of Wands. There's the Six of Wands and the Five of Pentacles. Six of Wands and Five of Pentacles is such an interesting energy. Well, it is, but it isn't, but it is. So, in the energy of dominance, in the energy of knowing your place, when it comes to the Six of Wands and the Five of Pentacles, just because you may be in a difficult time, just because you may be experiencing hardship financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, does not mean that, like, that does not reduce or diminish your station. Like, you're not less than because you're experiencing challenge or difficulty, right? And don't allow for someone else to like make you feel like you are. You're just experiencing hardship. It's temporary. I don't want to put these in reverse. I don't want to put these in reverse. I don't want to put these in reverse. I don't want to put these. Oh, I didn't timestamp panel cards. Oh, well. Well, I guess we're still kind of coming off the last one. Yeah. I feel like dominance is such a tricky one. Look, the moon! The moon at the cut with the Five of Pentacles now. But we saw the Hermit there with the splashlight. Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. The Seven of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. And then Death and the Seven of Pentacles. So, for example, take it as it resonates. Take it as it resonates when it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. I am not a financial advisor, and I am not gonna sit on here and claim to be great with money. But it is almost very much like, let's say that someone has a bit of a nest egg with the Seven of Pentacles, something that they've been building over time. It's like, even with the penalties, it may be better to withdraw from that nest egg to make it through a season and then rebuild it or reinvest into it later. Then it's almost like it's better to do that than to be so afraid of touching it that things get worse. or things worsen to a point where it's even more difficult to get better. And it's also the energy of like the things that we can't take with us, right? So, yeah, there's that. Right? It may not be ideal. It may mess up the like, and it could be one of those things where, like, say, for example, you have like stocks or shares or whatever, and you are like, you live in a place where healthcare ain't cheap or free or even affordable. Really? Um, it's like it would be better to like cash in the shares and take care of your health than like leave the money in there so that it can keep accumulating and taking the hit to your health, and then things like spiral, and then it's like, yeah, use your discernment always, but sometimes it's better to, magician again just made some noise, sometimes it's better to, like, if you have a rainy day fund, to like know when it's rainy enough, right? You have a rainy day for a rainy day fund, which is like money for a rainy day. That's not like a flood insurance policy. You know what I mean? It's better to take it when it's rainy, because when it's a flood, you know, it's easier to patch the holes when it's, you know, it's easier to patch a hole in a roof than it is to bail, question mark, water out of a sinking ship or a flooded home. Cool. I see the four of coins with the lovers at the cut. We just saw the four coins. Yeah. So in that second Zeugma, it's someone that dominates both physically and spiritually. That's like real spiritual warrior OG type ish. You know what I mean? Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And the Six of Cups almost fell out. The Magician with the Ten of Swords. Feels like that almost plays into the Queen of Swords, Five of Swords that we saw. I still didn't timestamp. Oh well, I'm still like shuffling these all together. Because the cards from the first round I like set aside. That's why I shuffled this deck twice, the Astro Matrix twice. So are there 33 cards? Or am I missing one? Because how is it like with one card out of the deck, it was 32 exactly? Can, can you tell who's come back home? Can you tell who's made their return today? Love them. Gotta love them. I ain't in the business of telling folks how to whatever. This is not my home. I mean, it is my home, but it's not. I don't make the rules here. And I have no interest in doing so. So, anyway, if you hear noise, I can only control this. All that out there, I can't dominate that. I have no desire to either. All right. Ten of Swords again. I'm actually going to put these away first. I'm going to put the Fable Maker's Animated Tarot back. Knight of Coins with the Four of Swords. Knight of Coins and Four of Swords is very like slow and steady, wins the race. Don't rush yourself. Take your time. If you like one step is progress. You ain't gotta be running marathons. Especially like there are different paces for different seasons. And it's important to rest so that you are like, was that not? I'm pretty sure that was today, right? It's important to rest so that you can be in your like prime or operate at your best. And that's also part of it. All right. From the left half of the. Actually, one second, because I'm going to get this ready to put back in the box, which means I need to put the book down first so I can put the cards on top of the book. Cool. All right. From the left half of the Table Makers with Death at the bottom of the deck. Excuse me. Death and the Three of Wands. Death and the Three of Wands, it's like the end of one dream, but the beginning of another. And it feels like another is bigger than the original dream. Also, very much so, you know, everything happens for a reason. Sure. All right. Why is I know Allie and AJ sing it, but I don't know if it's theirs originally. I'm pretty sure it's not. That Do You Believe in Magic? The Knight of Swords again. Now there's no mistaking the movement in this card. Bottom of the deck is the Wheel of Fortune, and the Ace of Pentacles is behind that Wheel of Fortune. Moving at the speed of truth comes to mind. But it's very like almost real time. And it's able to pivot and adapt and take on these truths as they are like brought into someone's awareness. So it's almost very like if you can be adaptable, then you don't have to. If you can be adaptable, it's like you don't have to wait for something to be like completely revealed or completely known. If you can pivot on the fly, like it's like you can do something as you go. Um, it's like because it's not unstudied and it's not whatever. It's just like again, it's like if you're flexible and you can pivot, then I don't know. It's like you get early access to something, or you can just like go whenever. Right? If the GPS is like turn left, right? If you're following GPS, for example, and you even if you put in a destination and you don't know how to go there, if the GPS is like turn left here, you turn left. The GPS is like in 5 miles, turn right, then you turn right. It's not like, well, I've been going straight for 13 miles, so why would I turn left up here? Like if I turn left, then like what's gonna it's like can I keep like and then it's like you end up missing a turn and then missing another turn, and it's constantly trying to redirect you to get to your destination, but you're like, and then like you never get there because apparently it's not a straight shot. So at some point you're gonna have to turn. Again, it's something like if you're flexible, then a GPS is fine. You don't have to print out all the instructions and look at the entirety of your journey on a map. It's just like, if you have a GPS you can trust, it's a lot easier too. That's GPS you can trust. Intuition, discernment you can trust. Right? So, for example, if you have strong discernment and you trust your intuition, you can move at the speed of your intuition, which is like real time and not necessarily needing to know all this stuff. From the right side, we have the Ten of Wands. Actually, I'm going to read the challenge. Bottom of the deck is the World. You could read that as like weight of the world on your shoulders, but it almost comes across more in the vein of that Knight of Swords and whatever was it, the Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. Like Knight of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune is moving at the speed of truth or moving at the speed of intuition. Chino's outside. He just ran by the with the Ten of Wands in the World, it's like as you are going through significant changes in your life, there's a lot of like burdens that one can take on, but burdens in the sense of like let's say if you get a new job, you have to learn a new role. If you have to relocate, you have to move. Now you are like establishing a new network of like friends and connections and like adapting to a city. And it's like all of this stuff that comes with major changes. You could say it's the weight of change, but it's like change for the better. And sometimes even if we go from like let's say for example someone was in a period of financial, physical, mental, emotional difficulty, like we saw with the Five of Wands, Five of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, and whatever the other cards were. It's like there may be an adjustment or like a slow ramp up to like learning what your new normal is, or your new capabilities are, right? When it comes to emotional difficulty, then it's like learning to feel safe in a space and like learning to like relax your shoulders and like ease tension in your body type stuff. I'm going to read that Knight of Swords challenge though. BT dubs. So the Knight of Swords is engrossed in figuring out a puzzle box, not a puzzle box after we saw the box in the Four of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles in this deck. The knight will open the door if she can be persuaded to put down the box for even a moment. However, she is obsessive and reacts aggressively if intimidated. The puzzle can be solved for the knight with a successful DC 18 intelligence or investigation check, opening the box to reveal a set of horseshoes of a zephyr, which she gladly offers as a gift. So for her, it's not even like what's inside the puzzle box, it's just solving the puzzle box. A DC 18 investigation check, 18 out of 20 is 9 out of 10. That's a 90% failure rate. Because you got to get 18, 19, or 20 to pass a DC 18 check after your like before modifiers. In 18, 19, or 20 out of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All of those would fail the DC 18. What's interesting is though, because again with the Knight of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom, it was that energy of like moving at the speed of truth or moving at the speed of one's intuition. And so it's almost like there's something about that and figuring out this puzzle box where it's again like you can just go, like if it's a Rubik's Cube, question mark, you can just like twist it until your intuition says stop, and then do this, stop, do that, stop, do that, stop. Like it doesn't have to be a whole whatever. And also It's like you could intuitively be led to, although it's like a 90% failure rate. That's if you like rely on your own knowledge, intellect, whatever. With the intuition, it's like odds with a strong intuition and discernment combination and a trust in that intuition discernment combination, it's like significantly easier to just again like happen upon a solution, to receive a solution. You can dream a solution, you can just like and find there's many ways to get the solution. The 10 wands challenge is a challenge like all the wands challenges. I mean, when like within the suit, the challenges are pretty similar. So the 10 of wands is to be in a room where what 10, it's like a 40 by 40 room, and there are 10 by 5 square foot blocks of lava, 10 like 10 lesser fire creatures and 5 greater fire creatures, and you have to defeat them all for the door to open. Now, we've seen some of these as um, associated with the past. It could be like traumas associated with the past, anxieties about the future, all of this other stuff, but you don't necessarily like, so you have to defeat, incapacitate, or render unconscious these things, right? So it's like you don't necessarily have to defeat them. You could incapacitate them, being you could get to a point where they don't hinder you, right? So again, with the weight of the world in this way, but more so like how your life changes, like you can, just like on the other side, you can trust your intuition to lead and guide you in the way that is for you to go. You can trust in your discernment, and you can trust in your strength, and you can trust in how you've already like navigated your journey and lived your life, that even when like faced with a fear or something, it's not going to paralyze you, it's not going to stop you from doing what it is that you need to do. So when you are like that comfortable navigating real time, you don't have to wait until something is like completely healed or like 75% healed or whatever. Because now it's like you can handle face address something in real time, or now it's not going to stop you from doing whatever it is that you need to do. For example, if you have like a fear of public speaking, and but you've worked through it enough to like manage presentations and stuff like that, like you have a whole system to present in front of a board or whatever. But in the past, like you would have just frozen up. Well, then if you're the freeze type, you would really have to like work through that, so that like maybe at that point you wouldn't be put in a situation where you have to, speak in front of others. And because of that, your path would be a little different, or the roles that you take on would be a little different. But now, since you have tools and an ability to work through that fear of public speaking, you can be in a role where that may be required sometimes. So, again, on one side, it's trusting in your intuition. On this side, it's trusting in your strength. Cool. So, especially when it comes to that Zeugma of dominance, oops, even with the Zeugma of invention, right? And the Zeugma of dominance, trusting in your intuition and your strength, like it will help you be firm when you need to be firm and flexible when you need to be flexible. When it comes to the Zeugma of invention, it's like it'll help you be flexible when it comes to like the business side of things, but also be firm in the mission of whatever, right? So that it can actually do what intended to do. Oh, I didn't timestamp. I didn't timestamp. Crap. This is your reminder that timestamps on this channel are approximations. I'm going to timestamp this for 2 hours, but I will make an attempt to go back and clean it up at some point. I mean, I guess after I finish, I can go back. All right. So the Gilded Tarot Royale. Actually, yeah. Gilded Tarot Royale. No card. Okay, I'm going to put the Astro Matrix Tarot away first. The Gilded Reverie Lenormand was like on the table, but I grabbed the box for the Astro Matrix Tarot to like put it away. And then after I started shuffling Four of Pentacles and Death, after I started shuffling the Gilded Reverie, I was like, wait, I got the box for the Astro Matrix. So we'll see if our final card comes out here. All right, Astro Matrix Tarot. Final message from you, please. Give it a good shuffle. We see the Hanged One and the Hierophant at the cut. Speaking of enlightenment and duality. But that's a duality of like being divine in the flesh. Ooh, and the Eight of Wands. Apparently, it'll speed some things up. It's almost like being like well rested. Again, it almost speaks to that, like being well rested makes it easier to be like creative when your mind isn't like starved of rest or other things, hydration or nutrients. Y'all remember brain food? Like being a kid? Okay. Here in the States, at least, we would have our standardized testing, like always. I'll say in some parts of the States, at the very least, standardized tests. And as like a kid, I remember there'd be like cheese sticks or like peppermints or like water, just things that they would call like brain food. You would like, in the like, especially if it was a heavy day of testing, you would have a break where you get your brain food. If you got to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. I actually have cheese sticks in the. Maybe that's what I'll do when I go live next time. I'll have my brain food. Let's see if it makes it any easier. Three of Cups and the Four of Cups. What I like about the Astro Matrix Tarot with the Queen of Cups and that Four of Cups, again, that pre-High Priestess energy. And she's like looking in that cup too. What I like about the Astro Matrix Tarot, I can do that when I shuffle. Ace of Wands and the Four of Cups. If the Four of Cups is still at the bottom of the deck after that Ace of Wands, the Five of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. Okay. So I was going to say, with the Four of Cups, it's like this is what you've been like hoping for, praying for, manifesting. Like the divine is like, hey, this is it, girl. And maybe it's one of those things where like you, like it feels like it takes so long for something to happen that we start to get in our head when it does. But at least with the Ace of Wands, it seems like passion will win out. Right? it's almost like one of those, like, we can't help but try. If that's the case, again, like with the 10 of wands in the world, like, don't be discouraged if things are like maybe more challenging than you would have initially thought, or if there are things that like come up that you didn't anticipate. What's at the cup with this 5 of pentacles? Temperance. Don't be discouraged, like, be patient with yourself and know that there are resources to help you in whatever way. 14 is a 5, so that's a 5-5. And then the 8 of swords with temperance. It may come from unexpected avenues, so always again use your intuition and discernment, but don't be afraid. Like, if something, I love that it didn't come out as the four. No, we saw the 4 of cups. I was gonna say I love that it didn't come out as the 4 of cups, um, because it's not seen. It's not necessarily expected or anticipated, but it's like, be discerning enough to like recognize an answer to a prayer when it arrives. Type energy. And then we have the 3 of cups with that 8 of swords, and I love it. It's like unexpected kinship, unexpected blossoming relationships, stuff like that. You find your tribe, you find your people, you find your place. All right, final Astro Matrix card. Are we ready for a final card now? I think so. Oh, yeah, there it is. The 10 of Pentacles with the 4 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. 10 of Pentacles and 4 of Pentacles, it's almost reading as, girl, I don't want to say financial literacy. There we go. It's almost reading like financial literacy. I know before it was that whole like, and don't be afraid to tap into a rainy day fund because it's not necessarily like flood insurance. But here, it's like the 4 of Pentacles and the 3 of Wands behind it. It's like knowing when to be. The word that keeps coming to my mind is conservative. Obviously, there are some connotations of the word that are a little rough to sort of digest when you look at the state of the world and the US, but it's almost like knowing this is like saving, creating the nest egg. And it doesn't have to be everything, but it's the part that's put away for tomorrow so that this 10 of Pentacles can come to pass. That's what this is. So, also, it's doing the challenging, difficult thing today or now so that tomorrow you'll be good, right? It's like sometimes we can be so in the now moment that we may not think that, you know, a week from today, that's going to be now. There will come a time where the future is now. So, you know, accordingly. I mean, these, I may be able to do it too. Just kidding. I couldn't get no arch in it. There we go. All right, I ain't trying to bend the mess out of them. All right. Gilded Reverie. The Hierophant. Bottom of the deck is Judgment. $520 is on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. Just like 6-2, the Lovers and the High Priestess. June 2nd is Gemini season. 520 is on the cusp of Taurus season. Hierophant is Taurus. This feels like the divine saying, like, good work. The Hierophant, like, the job of the Hierophant is to serve as liaison to the divine and to lead and guide people in a way that honors the divine, but also that they form their own relationship. And it's like, because of all of these in judgment, it's like the Hierophant has done what it needed to do because they've been resurrected on Judgment Day. And now he can walk through whatever to his next. It's like, not only is Hierophant like handing the baton to the next generation, I mean, it kind of is. He's handing the baton to the next generation, the scepter. He's handing off. There's his hand if it'll focus. There you go. And he's going to his next phase, whatever that is. It's like the Hierophant is retiring. And what's interesting, it's like, if we were to get ourselves together collectively, or even in our own personal lives, it's like what we need the Hierophant for now, we won't necessarily need the Hierophant for in the future. If we like properly take on the teachings and stuff like that. You could say there'll be a new Hierophant. Or you could say it'd be the same Hierophant, but just like different whatever, right? Oops, ow. Because what happens when you don't need the Hierophant to tell you how to live? I don't know. I'm gonna ask my number one fan. I love to ask her. Stop. All right. Will this answer it? I'm gonna get the final card from the Star Dragons Oracle now. I'm gonna eat before I clean up the timestamp, or as I clean up the timestamp. So, there will be a little break. I only got one shot. Only took one shot. It's fine. I want to be like, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have to drink anymore. Every now and then I have to remind myself, like, if I really want some wine, I'll be like, I don't have to drink today. But that Moscato d'Asti, girl. I found the wine that I love. I found it. Legacy, persistence. Bottom of the deck is rebirth, giving yourself a second chance. And these dragons look like they could be related. 822 is the Leo. I think it's on the Leo Virgo cusp. I'm not quite sure when that usually happens. I think it's around like the 22nd, 23rd. I could be wrong. But don't the dragons look like they could be related? Legacy and rebirth. Legacy and then space. Legacy and rebirth is almost an energy of karma. And it's karma because it's like being born into your own legacy or reborn into your own. Like, let's say that there's a legacy that you leave and then like you are reborn, reincarnated into like someone your own ancestor type energy, which is why it's like karmic, right? You like what you give, you receive. I feel like it's like an energy of just desserts. I think too, with legacy and giving yourself a second chance, with legacy and rebirth, It's like, especially if someone, she's almost giving like Buzz Aldrin. And I don't know if it's Buzz Aldrin in particular. It may have been. I don't think it was Neil Armstrong. I think it was Buzz Aldrin. I feel like there was somebody like that was in a bar. I feel like it was Buzz Aldrin. It may not have been. I don't know, Buzz. Um, it's like someone that was very accomplished was in a bar and they were asked a question like, "What are you going to do now that you've peaked?" Like nothing that you ever do will top what you've already accomplished. And I think he like punched the guy or something. Because you know, but rebirth and legacy, it's almost like someone kind of like the Hierophant graduating, like someone has done what they needed to do, right? With the Zeugma of invention, let's say someone has already invented the thing and it's already in the hands of whoever and they're going to move it forward and like what will be their legacy, because again, even with the star that came out for the Zeugma of invention, it was like this is a stopgap or this is like intermediary and there are other things that are going to come because of this. And so it's like the Zeugma of invention has been honored. They've created what they were divinely birthed to do. And then it's like, well, what comes after that? What comes after you fulfill your mission and your purpose? I love that this almost like parrots the question in a way of what does the Hierophant do after they're done Hierophanting? But in similar ways, like what does a parent do after their child like flies from the nest? Or what does a person do after they retire? In this giving yourself a second chance, it's almost like now that you've done what was for you to do, it's almost like someone rediscovering themselves. Like maybe there's something else that you're passionate about or something else you could do. You know what I mean? But like, don't think that not only is it like, it's partially like, don't think that there isn't more for you to give or more for you to offer, but it's also partially like you've already done what it is that you needed to do. So you get to enjoy your time however you choose to do that. Also, like, yeah, Impegno. What's number 7? Or is it Impego? Impeno? Effort. Legacy persistence. This is the Lyra constellation with Alpha Lyrae being the star. Wisdom of the Herald. You came, you saw, you conquered, you persisted. Persistence means you keep going no matter how many times you fall, no matter how, no matter what crumbles down around you, press on. Let me read that. Persistence means keeping, persistence means you keep going. No matter how many times you fall, no matter what crumbles around you, press on. When the dust settles, you will still be standing. Keep going. The wisdom of the dragon. What is your purpose in life? What is your legacy? What are you here to do? Persistence is key as you take action to secure your destiny in life. And ultimately, what will leave you, and ultimately, what will you leave for others? What will you pass on? Define your destiny. Your great legacy is calling. So, if this is something that's like still in the works or still in the making, it may be beneficial to like keep a record of the things that interest you or the things that kind of like pull your attention. Like write it down somewhere because there will come a day when you have fulfilled your purpose or when you have contributed kind of sort of as much as you need to. And if you take note now, it may be easier to sort of know what you're going to do then, right? Like, for example, there were a whole bunch of, like, in my last semester, there was a whole lot of stuff that like caught my interest and my intrigue. And I was like, I need to I need to focus on classes now. And then after I graduate, then I'll do this and then I'll do that. And after I got my degree, I could not remember the vast majority of things that I'd said I was gonna like put off. Like, for example, like I was watching Sailor Moon Crystal, right? And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to focus on submitting my work by the deadline because I'm trying to get my degree. So I'm gonna finish watching Sailor Moon after I get that piece of paper. And I never did like go back and watch it. Honestly, that's something I just remembered. Most of the time I forget. But anyway, it's like there are things that like we can take note of now just to like have an idea of how like we're gonna spend our time or what we're gonna do next or whatever. A better idea, right? To sort of help in that transition between one major undertaking and enjoying the fruits of your labor. There's that Eight of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles. The Journeyman. Again. All right. Final SKT revelation. I actually want to read it from the Little White Book. I don't read the Little White Book often, but I kind of love it. Okay. We got a smooth flip. 3 cards. Which is interesting that a Sphinx is. We see the Four of Pentacles again. Bottom of the deck is the Sharpshooter, Eight of Wands. Which I believe we saw the Eight of Wands earlier. The Conservator, Four of Pentacles, Wheel of Life, and the Pugilist, Nine of Wands. So we have the Four of Pentacles, the Sphinx, Destiny Turning, and the Nine of Wands. What's interesting between, it feels like something that may have been impossible in the past will now be made possible, but just because it's possible doesn't necessarily mean it's like easily accessible, right? With the Four of Pentacles, it's like it was off limits, but with the Nine of Wands, it's almost giving what do you call it, like a limited release, like a test screening, more so than a test screening. It's like a, I don't know why, it's almost like reading like technology, right? Like there's some, it doesn't necessarily have to be groundbreaking. There are some new technology and there are developers that get early, like they get to get their hands on the technology early. Either they're going to be developing something using the technology, or it's like, because there's what you can do with the technology theoretically, but then there's also like what it's capable of. And it's like, not like the developers get early access, which gives them an edge, but also what they develop, it helps define what the new technology can do. So it helps both the inventor and the developer, the inventor of the technology and the developer that utilizes that technology in some kind of way. That's how it's reading. Sun in Capricorn, Jupiter, Moon in Sagittarius. Sun in Capricorn is the Four of Pentacles. Jupiter is the Wheel of Fortune. Moon in Sagittarius is the Nine of Wands. Venus in Sagittarius is Mercury in Sagittarius is the Eight of Wands. So Moon conjunct Mercury. Yeah, even Moon conjunct Mercury. It's like, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There's also like the Sun in Capricorn reads like being aware of limitations. And Jupiter is like expanding those limitations. Sun in Capricorn is being aware of limitations. Jupiter is an expansive energy. So either there is something like more revolutionary that's being done within the box, or the box is getting bigger. Take it as you will. There's your final cards. Featuring the nails that need to be cut. I'm going to cut them today. I have to now. Yeah, it just reads like early access or something like that. Cool. So I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you didn't just waste hours or even minutes of your life. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. That's the Zeugma. I feel like that's pretty much, I mean, I didn't ask what's next for the Hierophant, but I don't think that's for me to ask either, because it would be personal or specific to each Hierophant. Like, your duty is done. Now you get to do what you want it to do. Or again, as things like pique your interest while you are doing whatever, try to keep note, because there is going to come a day when you have some free time. And if that day comes right off the back of like a lot of work or whatever, it can be more difficult to like, because you were just in like work mode. Then it's like in that absence, it feels more like a void, even though now you're like free or now you're done, Anyway, I'll get you next time. I feel like pretty much everything is like the Zeugma was the last thing. So yeah, you'll see me when you see me, and I'll see you when I see you, I guess. Should I take another shot? Yeah. I don't need to drink. I want to. We'll end it with a shot. End it with a shot. End it with a shot. We'll end it with a shot. Not a full shot. We'll do a little shot, like half a shot. What's that? Like 2 ounces? I am actually going to chill this. I felt the chili. It's like the mango goes down and the chili remains.